Thank you.
Thank you.
And you know what? Really, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the consciousness that creates and making that choice in your life. Because everything that is spoken about in that song is a choice. Every single thing, every single idea is a choice. And you get to either accept it and embody it, or if you don't like it, you get to change it. Because that's the great thing about choice. You're never stuck with just one choice, right? Never. And the reason that's true is because God is infinite. So choice is infinite. So today's talk title is These Foolish Things. And you know, talk titles are funny. They're just funny things because it sets everybody up with these ideas about what to expect, right? These foolish things. And I have to tell you that for the most part, my talk titles are really random. But usually sparked. I mean, obviously Spirit knows what it's doing, so there's something that's being sparked in me, and when I come up with a talk title, then that's what's going to lead me through the day. So, These Foolish Things is a brilliant song written by Benny Goodman that I didn't sing today. Because it's not really, I mean, the lyrics are not really appropriate to what I'm talking about, because it's really about romantic love, right? So the song, that song has nothing to do with what I have to say today. But it was sparked because I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald one day. And I said, that's going to be the talk title for such and such day, and I just chose it at random. But then as I really started to contemplate the idea of these foolish things, and it really started to resonate with me what needed to be said today. So, in his essay, Self-Reliance, Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a major influence on Ernest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, Ralph Waldo Emerson has a quote in there, "Consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds." Which is how most people hear it, right? Consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. Most of the time, when you see it quoted, that's how it's quoted. And so there's a great disservice to what the actual quote is, because that is actually a misquote. The actual quote is, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." I said small minds before, it is little minds. "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." I remember in high school, I was in a class called Social Issues. Could that be any more like nondescript title for a class? Social Issues. Basically opens it up so you can talk about anything at all. But at some point during the coursework, we got into the discussion of the Transcendentalists, and this philosophy is born out of Transcendentalism to a great degree. Transcendentalism, the idea that we are transcended beyond just our physical bodies, right? That there is only one power, one presence in the universe. It's all I'm ever talking about on a Sunday. So, you know, this quote comes up because we were talking about Emerson, who was a Transcendentalist, along with Henry David Thoreau, and now I can't think of any other Transcendentalists, so that's fine. But even in that class, the word foolish was omitted. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. So this quote, understanding a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, goes in line so well with what I say every single week when I'm up here. Because, you know, one of the things that I'm really big on right now is habit, right? I talk about habit all the time, that we live lives that are habitual, and we're always moving forward, and the habit of saying, I'm the center administrator at the Noah Art Center for New Thought. Well, that's a habit I'm having a difficult time breaking, obviously, because I get up here and it's like I get into this energy of Sunday service, which I did for so long, and always introduce myself as the center administrator for the center. See, and it's starting to change. It is starting to change because I am the spiritual director of the Center for Spiritual Living Toronto. It's just changing the habit. Changing the habit. But the habits that are destructive are the things we call foolish. And that's what Emerson is talking about. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, because those foolish habits, those foolish ideas, those things that are going on that are not for your highest good, that are not constructive in your life, are the things that are making your life show up the way it is, and for the most part, you're probably not happy with those things. You may be happy with all of this, but there's this one little thing over here, and I'm not so happy with that, right? Well, those things are born from foolish consistency. So, as we learn to change our habits with those which are more constructive, then we get rid of the word foolish. And we get rid of little minds. And we get rid of hobgoblin. We can replace all of those words, but ultimately the idea is constructive consistency makes for a great mind and a powerful mind. And when you live and embody that idea, everything in your life unfolds brilliantly. So make those constructive new habits the consistencies in your life. But how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is look at your life. You have to recognize the foolish consistencies that are going on, right? You have to see what's going on. Now, you know, when you go into practitioner studies like I did, and when you go into ministerial studies like I did, one of the things that you end up learning is, you know, turn entirely away from the condition, right? This idea that you turn entirely away from the things that are happening in your life. And that is absolutely true when you're in treatment and you're focused on understanding that you're turning away from the condition in treatment, in the process, the process of mental work that is focused and with purpose to change your experience. That's when you turn entirely away from the condition. But if you need to understand how to get there, don't live in denial. Don't live in the foolish consistency of thinking, God is all there is, God is really great, because those things are true. However, if you've got something in your mind that doubts that, that's what you're going to experience in your life. So how do you find those foolish consistencies? Look at your life. Look at what's going on in your life. What are the things that are triggers for you? What are the things that make you go crazy? What are those things? Whatever they are, well, and people hate hearing this, you created them. Are you unhappy with your job? You created your experience of your job. Are you unhappy with your relationship? Or, oh, this is a good one, are you unhappy with your perceived lack of a relationship? And I'm talking about a specific loving relationship with another person, in the idea of romantic love, right? Because I see that a lot. People saying, I really want to be with somebody. Oh, as I fall over and hit the wall. That's going to look really great on video, isn't it? My mentor, James Mellon, is going to look at it and think I'm drunk. I'm not. I'm drunk on life. Look at your finances. Or your perceived lack of finances. And I will say perceived lack. Note that I use the word perceived in there, right? Because it is only perception. It is only our acceptance of a perception that we lack that ends up creating lack in our lives. But it's our perception and our acceptance of that perception that creates that. There are any number of things in your life that could be going wrong. Those things are the things that were created by foolish consistency. So, can you get behind that idea? Can you get behind the idea that your foolish consistency has created these things in your life? Can you get behind that idea? Because once you do, you get to change it. You know, the mind creates. That's what we teach. The mind is a creative thing. Your individual use of mind is a creative thing. And it's happening whether you are aware of it or not. The law is always working. And so if you have those foolish consistencies going on, the law is saying, great, yes, I will create an effect based on that cause that you have in mind. I did write here. We know that mind creates. That's what we teach. And then I wrote, so if you don't know that, talk to me after service. But ultimately what I get to is that this all goes down to personal responsibility. And I talk about personal responsibility a lot, right? And this is what we get very deep into in class, because people are always trying to argue for their limitations in class. They're always coming up and saying, yeah, but how about this over here? But what I did this, and I was present for this experience, but I didn't create that. Well, I said this last week, but you were present for the experience. Your very presence in that experience means that you're responsible for it, whether you think you created it or not. Because here's the other thing. Do you know that we don't create anything? We don't create anything. There's one power, one creative power, and that's God. God is the only thing. Wow, God, like the whole energy, did you feel that? The whole energy of the room just went. God is the one creative power. And we talk about change your thinking, change your life all the time. You change your thinking, but who's doing the creating? What is doing the creating of a new life? It's God. It is the divine energy. Because I use the word God a lot, right? It's divine energy. It's not some guy out there doling out, goodness and light as he or she sees fit. Most people in other philosophies think of God as a he, right? It is an energy. It is a creative power. And that's all it's ever doing is creating. So when we change our mind, we are simply putting into the law of cause and effect a new idea. And God creates easily, perfectly, brilliantly based on that new idea. So that is who and what you are. So when I say we don't create, it's half true, right? The way we discuss it in this philosophy is we are co-creators with the universal mind. We co-create because we have choice. We have choice. And so when we step into an understanding that our choice is a powerful gift, then we can choose a greater experience. We can choose life. We can choose love. We can choose joy and harmony and peace, and stop choosing the things that are the opposite of those things. You know, it's funny because I never want to say the opposite of those things.
Just say icky.
Those icky things. So, personal responsibility is the single most powerful concept for understanding that you get to change your life. You get to change your life. I'm not going to change it for you. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you understand that there are tools at your disposal so that you can do it. You created your life, and you get to recreate it however you want. You know, many of us don't want to hear that idea. Many of us don't want to hear that we have to step into personal responsibility to change our lives so that we can stay victims. So that we can stay victims. And you know what? If that's where we choose to stay, that's a foolish consistency. Because there is nothing outside of you that holds dominion over you. There is nothing outside of you that can affect you adversely in any way except to the degree that you allow it. So today, step into a deeper understanding of that idea. Step out of victim mentality and step into the powerful place of understanding who you are. Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind, wrote, "The foolish man living only in sense perception has no measure for reality." There are a couple parts of this quote, so I'm going to break it up a little bit. "The foolish man living only in sense perception has no measure for reality." What he's saying there is when we only look to the circumstances of our life, we have no deep embodiment or understanding of the bigger picture, that God is all there is. Because all we can see are the things that are out there, that are going wrong. Sometimes going right, because if you look at the things that are going wrong, and you say that those are the truth, you have to look at the things that are going right and say those are the truth. The more you accept those things as the truth, and they're not, they're simply facts, the more you accept them as truth, the more that they have play in your life. So, that's why we say, if you want to change the world, be the change you wish to see. I mean, we didn't say that, Gandhi said that, but the idea of it, to be the change you wish to see in the world, it is up to you to look out there and see it first. So the second part of this quote, I'm going to read it. See, now I have to read the whole quote, because it's actually one sentence that I've now broken up. "The foolish man, living only in sense perception, has no measure for reality, and builds his home upon false opinion and erroneous concept." Builds his home upon false opinion and erroneous concept. It's exactly what I was just talking about. That as you look out there and see all the things that are wrong, and you accept them as your own, you are now building a foundation for a new home of false opinion and erroneous concepts. So those are the things that are going to be playing in your life. Is that depressing or what? So we're lulled into this concept that there's something else at work. Because a lot of us don't want to do the mental work that is required for creating a better life. And it's mental work. It's not about going out and getting the better job, although that can be a byproduct of the mental work. It is not about having more money in your bank account, although that can be a byproduct of the mental work. It is not about having perfect, loving relationships, although that is a byproduct of the mental work. They're all byproducts of something that starts in mind first. And that cause creates. That cause creates. I say it all the time. Cause creates. And all you're ever trying to do is change your mind about cause in your life. But when we get lulled into this false concept that there's something else at work, we're now creating from that mental place. Because it's always working. The law is always, always demonstrating. The effects are always happening. And then I ask the question, we're lulled into this false concept, but why? What is it? I mean, why can't we just step back and say, you know what, God is all there is, life is good, and then that's it? The answer is we can. You really can if you embody that belief. But why do we get lulled into this false concept? That these things have effect. And that these things create cause. And the reason is because we are experiencing what we refer to as multiplicity. See, here's the good and the bad news about the infinite nature of God. It is infinite. So every idea demonstrates on some level. We live life as individualized expressions of the divine. And I'm very specific about saying individualized expressions of the divine, with the deeper understanding that, yes, we see each other as individuals, but when we understand the unity that we are all one energy, one presence, one power. We are simply individualized as that one presence, that one power. We then get to make creative choices for our highest good. I would simply say choices, leaving out the creative, right? But today, I want to be reminded that all my choices are creative. All my choices are creative. Every single choice I make creates. Because every single choice I make is cause. Goes into the law of cause and effect and creates a demonstration. It creates an effect. It creates the circumstances of my life. It's brilliant and frustrating at the same time. And then I step back and I say, wait a minute, Rev. Because I do talk to myself like that sometimes. I especially talk to myself like that sometimes when I need a good swift kick in the bum. Wait a minute, Rev. So what you're telling me is that when I do things I like, that those are the things that are going to demonstrate. Right? So when I sit home and I think about cleaning my floors, that's what's going to demonstrate. Well, I've made the choice to think about cleaning my floors, so they should just be clean, right? Well, I don't know that that's a constructive, creative choice. It's a choice. When I think about eating well, and I find myself queued up at McDonald's, I don't know that that's really a creative choice. I really don't eat at McDonald's. It just seemed like, for me, for my taste, and no offense to anybody who enjoys McDonald's, just seemed like not the greatest choice for me.
Their menu's improving.
Their advertising is improving. I don't necessarily agree that their menu's improving. When I think about how much I hate my job, remember this is hypothetical, I love my job. What is the creative choice I can make there? Because the answer is always yes. The answer is always yes to the creative, constructive choices you are making. But it's also yes to the creative, destructive. It's interesting, I was going to say deconstructive, but it's destructive. It is always saying yes to the destructive choices you're making as well. The choices you make, every single choice you make, affects your life. They are cause, your experience is effect. And it seems like a very simple premise, yes? It is. It's a very simple premise. This entire teaching is built on simple ideas. Very simple ideas. We're the ones who complicate the entire philosophy by believing we have to work at it. We don't. It is always working at us. God, the divine, it is always working at us. It is always working in perfect correspondence to our thought, and more importantly, it's working in perfect correspondence to our belief. So what is going on in your mind? What is going on in your mind? Today I sang a song about building a new world. And that's what's going on in my mind. Out of the ruins and rubble, out of the smoke, out of our night of struggle, can we see a ray of hope? Can you see a ray of hope? Focus on the ray. Focus on the light. Focus on the truth. Because that is a brilliant, constructive use of mind. What we can create is a beautiful city. And so here's the coincidence. I imagine there are some people who have heard this song before, and you know that it's actually from a Broadway musical. It actually had its start here in Toronto. I don't know if you knew that. The show is a show called Godspell, and it is based on the life of Jesus Christ. Jesus of Nazareth, who is often referred to as Jesus Christ, but I will say Jesus.
Yeshua ben Joseph.
The Christ. Someone who so fully embodied the Christ consciousness, which is available to all of us, that he lived brilliant demonstrations. He did not live with foolish consistency. So I sing this song at the conclusion of the season for nonviolence, which happens to coincide with Palm Sunday, the beginning of Holy Week in Christian philosophies and in Catholic philosophy. And it was not, this particular song was not originally in the stage play. It was actually written for the film because Stephen Schwartz wanted to win an Oscar. I don't think it did win the Oscar, but it made it eligible to win an Oscar. And then it was later inserted into the play. Well, where it is traditionally sung in the play is right before the Last Supper. So here we are in Holy Week, singing the song that takes place right before the Last Supper. And in that vein, I'm going to ask you, for those of you who were here when I gave the Mardi Gras talk, how's Lent going for you? Do you even remember? Lent. That period of time when in this philosophy I choose to eliminate negative thinking. So Lent, let's eliminate negative thinking. That's what Lent means to me. So how is it going for you? How has it worked for you these 40 days and 40 nights? Has it provided you an opportunity to escape your own foolish consistency? Your own foolish consistency of negative thinking? If it didn't, you know what's really great? Lent doesn't end next week on Easter. This is something to truly embody. The elimination of negative thinking. So don't let it just be the 40 days. That the Christian philosophy says this is the time to focus on what we eliminate from our lives. Also, the 64 days that mark the season for nonviolence. Don't let it be just 64 days. Let it be an idea that you embody and you take with you into your life. Let these things become more consistent. Let these things become habit. Step out of the realm of foolish consistency and step into a greater vision of the world. Embody a greater vision of this beautiful city that we can build together. Today, I commit to living this more deeply in my own life. And I lose any attachment to the foolish things that are going on for me. And so I ask you today, will you join me? Will you join me? And I am going to sing it again. I love this song so much, I'm going to sing it again. And I get to do that because I'm the spiritual director. But what I want to do is suggest to you, okay, I'm moving to this mic now. I'm going to suggest to you that rather sit and watch and enjoy the performance, if it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, and let this be a treat. Let this be an understanding of a deeper truth, and let the music fill your soul. Because that's something that music does for me. It fills my soul. And so simply relax into this moment. Out of the ruins and rubble, out of the smoke, out of our night of struggle, can we see a ray of hope? One pale thin ray city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of men. We may not reach the ending, but we can start slowly but truly mending, brick by brick, heart by heart. Now, maybe now, we'll start learning how we can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of men. When your hope is all but shattered, when your faith is all but killed, you can give up bitter and battered, or you can slowly start to build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but finally a city of man. A city of man. And so just let it linger there, this deeper understanding that this is a truth, that we are a choice, and we right now can make the choice to build this beautiful city. And we do this together. I love you, I give thanks for you, and I honor you. Namaste.